Welcome to Successful Living with Bill Napick. Every week, we talk with interesting people in a variety of professions for ideas to enhance your success in all aspects of life. Successful Living with Bill Napick starts right now. Here's Bill Napick.
Welcome to the show. It is Successful Living with Bill Napick, and today, Successful Living with the one and only Jenna Jackson, who always brings a tremendous cast every time she is here. Jenna, what's going on?
Hey, Bill. I'm happy to be here again.
Well, here we are, and I'm always excited to anticipate who's going to be here. But today, we've got a little bit of a back-to-school theme.
Yep.
Food is a part of that. Education
Always.
is a part of that. Shopping is even a part of that. So we're going to cover as many bases as we can. Let's get started.
Well, you know, I love entrepreneurs and I love interesting people. So we have some really good ones today. Our first guest is from Federal Grill, which is clearly a favorite of mine because we talk about those cheeseburger egg rolls all the time.
Fried oysters are distinctive, as so many things are there.
So the guy responsible for the amazing food at Federal Grill, I'm going to let him introduce himself, and we're going to talk a little bit about his background. But Eric Aldous is our culinary director at the Federal Grill. So he goes from location to location. He's responsible for the menu. Eric, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
And my compliments. You're doing a tremendous job because I go to at least three of the grills, mostly Hedwig Village, though.
Awesome. Thank you for your support.
Same here. Okay, Eric, hardest question first. Do you have a favorite item on the menu?
I think I am following the crowd on this one. The cheeseburger egg rolls are a home run. And we're kind of famous, and we use a local Wagyu beef, RC Ranch. They're second to none. It's just it's a fun, good little appetizer to get your night started when you come to Federal Grill.
They are so good. And, by the way, you can get them to go because I might have done that last night.
It works.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No names. I'm asking for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So, Eric, tell me a little bit about how you got started in the restaurant industry.
Okay. Well, seventh generation Texan. I'm very proud of that. Family's from the Gonzales, Texas area, birthplace of Texas. Went to high school in Katy and played sports and just loved everything about sports, communication, teamwork, the adrenaline rush, all those things. And was able to kind of mirror that into the restaurant industry. I was going through school and going through college, kind of working my way through, and then decided that, culinary was really what I wanted to be. So came to Houston, went to the Art Institute of Houston. Lots of chefs here in town did the same thing. I worked for a lot of restaurants for free just to learn, and then got my foot in the door at the Four Seasons downtown, and that was the start. I kind of went backwards. A lot of chefs will end their careers going through the hotel, country club, and I went right out the gate, 5-star, 5-diamond, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Always traveling with these nice hotels and cooking amazing food and training culture. It was a big part of all these hotel companies and casinos, but I couldn't wait to get back to Texas. Finally made my way back and got my foot in the door with Mark Cox at Mark's American Cuisine, and that was kind of that was the same thing as working for the Bellagio or the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons in this area, in this part of town. So Mark and I became really good friends. So that was the start of my career. And then, of course, being an entrepreneur, living in Oil Town, figured out how to provide a service for oil and gas industry, providing catering and housekeeping services for offshore rigs, vessels. Then, when the Eagle Ford sales started going off, I started doing man camps with providing the housekeeping and catering services, had food trucks going to frac sites, whatnot. A lot of fun. Got to experience that part of being in Texas, but that too, got to experience a boom and a bust, especially from a chef's point. Got back into the restaurant business and just started working hard, doing some consulting. Owned a couple little bars in Galveston, Texas, downtown, 2 little wine bars. Sold those right before COVID hit, the end of 2019. And when that whole pandemic started to happen, it was tough on the hospitality industry. Matt Bryce and I go way back. So I was blessed because I just, decided if you're not hunting, you're not eating, during this time. If you're not figuring out what you're going to be doing when you come out of that. And through a lot of prayer and faith, just kind of throwing it up to big guns and saying, let's see what happens. And I was blessed to be able to work on the island and Galveston at a couple different restaurants and marinas, and beginning of this year, I started looking for a big boy job again. You know, I'd always said I wanted to be, next step was culinary director when I get out. I want multiple outlets or big hotels, something of that nature. And I just got out of a big interview, lots of corporate people all around. Was interviewing for a big job. And I get into my truck and I got a text from Matt. And Matt and I always talked about getting back together because we had worked together about 15 years ago. And he shot me the text, and I said, let's do this. Absolutely. I believe in Matt. I believe in the core values and love Federal Grill. Huge fan. So it's all coming together.
That is so awesome. So what do you love so much about Federal Grill? You mentioned a little bit culture through your years of learning through various hospitality restaurant, places that you've worked. Why is that so important? Talk to us a little bit about the culture at Federal Grill and how that really kind of defines what you guys are.
Yeah, I mean, cooking is cooking, and restaurants are restaurants, and hospitality is hospitality. You can either be average or you can be obsessed, and we are absolutely obsessed with hospitality. Our goal is that no guest touches a door when they're in our building. We pay attention to the absolute minute details to make sure that the guest experience is really the best out there. And that's really what's separating ourselves, not just from the front of the house, the whiskey and bourbon selections, smoking old fashions, but our cheeseburger egg rolls. It is a cheeseburger egg roll. We use the top quality, local, farm-raised Wagyu, craft Wagyu. Our seafood, we're using the freshest, one of the largest companies in America shipping us the freshest seafood that we can possibly get. And even our produce companies. And then also just culturally treating everybody with respect and changing the lives of everybody we touch. And that's really what we're about, and that's really what we drive home. And now obsessed hospitality leads to obsessed standards, and that's kind of where I come in, is to making sure that our CEO's standards are in place and having his back and making sure that everything he sees I see, and then also being able to teach that to the chefs, the managers, the general managers, but not just the top management, all the way down to the most important folks, the dishwashers, the SAs, the barbacks, and making sure that they understand and they're upholding those standards as well.
The bus boys. Don't forget.
Bus boys. We don't call them bus boys. We call them SAs.
Okay. My twins had their first job this summer at Federal.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah, they did.
I was
They did
like,
a great job.
please beat them up a little extra. But
I was a busboy once, many
it was
years
amazing.
ago.
Yeah.
It was a fun job. So you had Eric, some buzzwords that just lit me up early on as you were talking. Those are Ritz-Carlton, Four Seasons, talking about companies that lead the way or have led the way in exceeding expectations. The story is coming into focus now to see why the Federal American Grill is so successful, because the heritage that you bring forth, even with Matt's experience, his background, you all learned so much and are now deploying those standards and even exceeding them from great companies. I mean, which Ritz-Carlton, one of my favorite places. My saying is there's no bad Ritz anywhere, at least there didn't
I would
used
agree.
to be. But which Ritz were you at?
I was actually at the largest Ritz-Carlton in the United States. I was at the Ritz in New Orleans.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that-
a great spot.
It was a lot of fun. I had 2 stints, one before Katrina and then one after. And it was tough, but it was an incredible learning experience. Just along the way, like my whole path as a chef and entrepreneur has brought me to learn something new every day. And it's very humbling as a chef when you realize that you can learn something from every single person every single day, no matter where they're from, culturally, different diversities, especially dealing with the big hotels, and now bringing that home and really understanding kind of everybody and where they're coming from. When you're becoming a leader, when you're trying to lead leaders, even, is understanding, take a step back and look at the whole view from 30,000 feet and understand where everybody's coming from, what they're looking at, how their lives are affected by this work. So,
When you mentioned the Ritz in New Orleans, I could tell a few stories, but I want to share just one. On a day I had a later flight out, I said I was staying at the Ritz. I said I'm going to have a nice breakfast before I fly out. I happened to be in that restaurant at the Ritz for breakfast, enjoying a great breakfast. There was the Los Angeles Lakers in the restaurant. Kobe Bryant, Phil Jackson,
Oh, my
Shaquille.
gosh.
So I'm enjoying the buzz of people when there's so many celebrities around. But guess what? I turned to the right. There was Gene Hackman having a cup of coffee.
Yes, sir.
And this, I love that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that happens at these places. But yeah, Gene Hackman. And oh, yeah, the Lakers. It was just a fantastic experience. And
Never a dull moment.
No. Man, you could tell
Yeah,
a ton of stories I bet.
I was going to say, you probably have some that we could talk about and that we couldn't.
I've made some interesting friends. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, I have a question about the menu of Federal Grill. We've talked about what we love, but it's a big menu. It keeps expanding. So talk to me about, I'm so interested to see how a new item gets on the menu. Like, how many times do you taste it? What does that process look like? How many people are involved? How does that work?
Well, I've heard stories. So Matt's the creator of the cheeseburger egg roll, and he's told me it took him like 38 times to get it down. So the process is, I'll tell you, about 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll start getting pictures from Matt wherever he's traveling. And because of my diverse background in cooking, I really, really can't cook you anything. You can show me and we can tweak it, but usually first time out the gate, it's like, this is awesome. Now, can we recreate it? Can we teach 300 people about it? Can we train 300 people to recreate that? And that's where it starts to get, it's the difference between moving a small jet boat and a huge oil tanker, right? The huge oil tanker has thrusters. It has tugboats. It has a whole army of people really trying to keep it turning in the right direction and from bumping into anything. Jet boat, you just turn it once real quick and it's easy. So we have this huge checklist that was new to me because I was just like, yeah, change it. So we have a huge checklist that we go down. I mean, it deals with marketing, training, the whole gauntlet, not just the recipe, not just the plating guide, not just, the how-tos of everything. There's a lot that goes on, website, to-go platforms, et cetera, et cetera. We get the whole team involved in our food. Then there's training. Then there's constantly putting the dish out over and over again to make sure it's consistent. We're classic American fare. We use high-quality ingredients. And that's really what's separating us apart is that we're not fine dining. We're casual fine dining. We do have white tablecloths. We have linen-wrapped silverware, nice wine, whiskey selection. But we're not meant to be like super fine dining. We're meant to be something for everyone.
Not stuffy.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess you could make me an amazing dish, but the consistency part is so key, right?
Absolutely.
It's
got to be the same at 4, about to be 5 restaurants.
Right.
And growing, yeah.
Well, so talk to me a little bit about that. How is Federal's doing great right now? Talk to me about where Federal is headed.
Okay, so we are doing good, and we will constantly evolve and get better, and that menu does keep growing. So we have the Woodlands, Katy, Hedwig Village, our original location at Shepherd and Washington. The training management team from Scottsdale, Arizona has just arrived in Houston today. So we start training the crew. Operating partner's been in training for about 2 months. Steve Parker, he's a great dude. And so we get the other managers started rolling in, and we start training them in our different restaurants. So we have that. Scottsdale is 2 time zones away. So we did something interesting. We took all of our training materials and we went digital. So no more paper. So it's actually, if we need to adjust anything training-wise, it's actually they have iPads throughout the kitchens and restaurants where it's just a button that we push and save, and it goes from there. So we also have, Matt just told me yesterday, Frisco, so in the Dallas area. We have a downtown location on McKinney that's looking very promising. Just getting through the LOI process. So
Here in Houston?
Yes, sir, downtown.
Lots of potential.
Absolutely. Very excited about that. And then, of course, folks are calling from Denver, Colorado, Florida area, Nashville, Tennessee. All of those things are looking like in the works.
It's exciting, knock on wood.
Absolutely.
So coming up here in Houston, what's happening? October, Federal has a big month. Federal does a lot of giving back. Just got done with your Camp Hope menu where you raised thousands and thousands of dollars. What's coming up in October?
October, we have a Think Pink drink. So we're going to be, we had actually all of our bartenders and put in a contest, and they made some incredible pink drinks. So you have to come in and check it out over the month of October. It's delicious. You might be able to drink 3 to 5 of those. They're so good. So hope to see y'all in there. Come say hi.
Awesome.
We're talking with Eric Aldous. He's the culinary director at the Federal American Grill. Before we close the segment, Eric, what else do you want people to know? Let's tell them the website, too, in case they're listening from afar. And when they visit Houston, they could just check it out.
Yeah, for sure. It's thefederalgrill.com.
Thefederalgrill.com.
And who knows where the next federal is going to pop up, right?
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Send us some messages. Tell us where you want us to see you.
And thanks for being with us. We'll see you at the Federal American Grill sometime soon, Eric.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks for having me.
As we continue, let's talk to Jen Tucker. She is the owner of Milla and Ella. Her name is Jen Tucker, and here's Jenna Jackson at the same time. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's tell people about your company, Milla and Ella.
Okay, well, we have this great little concept where we have clothing for the littles, the middles, and the mamas. We focus on teens, tweens, 20-somethings, college kids, and clothing for the women as well.
I love your shop, Jen.
Oh, thank you.
My husband might hear this. Hopefully he won't, but I've been in way too many times.
Oh, sorry.
But no, I love that concept that, I can come in and get something for my niece who's a freshman in high school. And I can also find something cute for myself that's like not too young for me in my 40s. So,
oh, that's so nice to hear. Yes, we started off with just women's apparel when we first opened up the store in 2000. And I had this tiny little teenage section, and there was a huge demand for it. So it just started spreading and spreading and growing and growing. Eventually, it just took over my entire store. So we decided to expand in January, opened up a whole new space just for the women's apparel.
that is so exciting. I don't know if I've been into the new one yet. I need to come in. So tell me how you got started, with this originally. Like, how did you get into this business? I know you're a mom. We'll talk about that a little bit. But how did you get started?
In the year 2000, I opened my first boutique in Wharton, Texas. It was in this great old historical building right across from the courthouse. Loved it. We had the whole concept of you do not have to drive to Houston to get great things. We had a coffee shop in the middle of it. I had an ice cream bar. It was amazing. So stayed there for a few years, and it was time to come back to Houston. Got married, had kids, couldn't get rid of that retail bug. So I started off doing a lot of markets and Christmas shows. We started very small, like at little church events. Then we, got a little bit bigger, and started doing the Nutcracker Market. So now we still do the shows, and we have the store. So busy.
That's a lot of juggling.
It's a lot of juggling.
So how has it been to see it grow? Because I feel like you've really, the community clearly loves you. You've really grown quickly,
Thank you. Yes, we decided to make the move actually during COVID, which is, a bit of a jump. A lot of people were shutting down and things were closing, and this space became available, and we just jumped right in, and it was really a blessing. People were able to come in, try on the clothes. We have a really intimate atmosphere, so when people do come in, they want to stay in, especially the young girls. We have couches, we have music, we have teenage girls that work there, so it's just a really inviting atmosphere.
Okay, so how did you come up with such a great concept for girls when you're a boy mom?
Well, I do have two stepdaughters that have been with me since the ages of 3 and 5, and they were both little fashionistas and really fun to dress. They loved fashion. I love fashion, so kind of just put me where I needed to be.
That's
My
awesome.
son is definitely over just me carrying women's clothes. He's ready for me to open up a little boy store.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's next.
Maybe.
That's awesome. So what are you seeing right now? Like, as far as, what's trending, we're back to school. What's coming up that's getting people in the door? What do you want people to know?
Well, right now, I think we're putting a main focus on homecoming. We just finished all of our pref and rush dresses. Homecoming's a big thing. We have a huge selection, all price points. We like to keep it under $100. A lot of moms love to come in and get that dress, get that shoe, get the accessories, knock it all out, a one-stop shop. So that's kind of our big focus right now. We're also gearing up for all these Christmas markets. So, we have a fashion show coming up next week. So that's another thing. Fall transition is really going to be huge this year. We got a lot of like vegan leathers coming out, A lot of cool things like that.
Yeah, so for someone who wears a white T-shirt of some sort and jeans just about every day, tell me what I should be wearing.
But you can just accessorize it with some really cool jewelry. You could pop a cool heel, boots. The cream Western wear boots are really, really big this year. I would always, throw on a cute equestrian belt. I mean, there's tons of things to do with the white tee.
But you've got so many dresses, cute tops. Like, what else? Kind of walk us through what people can find when they come visit you.
So we have just about a little bit of everything, actually. You can walk in. You're going to see the women's apparel, the teens apparel. We have a heavy emphasis on gift items. We do a lot of things for birthday parties, a lot of grab-and-go gifts. We have candles. We have, really just about everything. There's not really anything that we don't carry at that store.
Jen, let's tell people where the store is. People listening right here in Houston certainly want to know if they haven't been there, and also those that visit. The amount of visitors that we get, especially during the holiday season, is going to be amazing this year. But where's the store?
So we're located off of Gaylord, and it's just tucked right behind the feeder road on Southwest Freeway. It used to be a restaurant, Jonathan's The Rub, right next door. They've now moved across the freeway. We're right there, and then we also have 2 satellite stores in both Katy and Sugar Land. The stores are called the Painted Tree, and we have some pretty good sized booth space in those stores.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the best way for people to find you? Like, is it social media, your website?
So you can shop online at our website, which is millandella.com. TikTok channel has been very big for the young girls. So our TikTok channel is Shop Milla and Ella 1. I would love to see people stop by the store anytime they'd like. And also, if you're in the Katy or Sugar Land area, just pop into the Painted Tree.
That's
Man,
awesome.
you're covering all the bases.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm thinking about, yes, it's the back to school. It's also, you mentioned the Nutcracker market.
Now that's a big one.
So you'll have a display there.
Yes, we're always in the very front row, all the way down to the right by the Round Top Collection. This year we've expanded into a bigger space on a corner, so we're really excited about that. We'll be there as Milla and Ella.
Milla and Ella, so people could check that out.
Absolutely.
How do you know what to buy in terms of items and trends? How do you know how much to buy?
Well, that's always a slippery slope. When you go to market, I mean, you're really going to want to take your time in selecting items. I think you really have to have an eye for it. I just have been very fortunate to go in and kind of get a feel for what I think is going to be the next hot item. And I don't know, I think maybe you're born with it.
That's awesome.
How do you know how much to buy?
You really don't.
Do you look at the register and say, oh, we've sold this much of that a week ago or a month ago or last year? How does that work?
Trying to figure out exactly how much to buy for 3 stores is a juggle. It really is. When I see something that I'm like really passionate, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a bestseller, I order heavy. If it's teen or tween and I think that the girls are really going to love it, I order really heavy. With having all these markets and shows, you really just can't overorder. I have plenty of outlets and avenues to spread it all around.
Jenna, I think that's an industry term, ordering heavy.
I think it is too.
I do that at restaurants sometimes.
Yeah, well, that doesn't
heavy.
help me fit into the Milla and Ella dresses the next day, though, Bill.
Let's see.
So, I mean, do you also get advice? Like, anytime I come in, I see these cute high school, college girls over the summer working at the shop, Do they kind of weigh in? They're like, oh my gosh, we love this. We're seeing this. I'm sure you get over advice.
Let me tell you, I could not do anything without these girls. They are amazing at what they do. They come in and they've learned about fashion just very quickly. I mean, they come in, they look at these things, and, before you know it, they're very passionate about it. Someone will come in and we really get excited when we can dress that 11-year-old, that 12-year-old, the 13-year-old. It's a very awkward age. It's a very awkward stage. They're either things are too mature, or they're a little too baby, or they're not quite filled out yet. And, that is a big reward for us. And the high school girls love it. They love making these little girls happy. And then, the teenagers look up to our college girls, and they take their advice. And, moms will sit back and go, I can't dress the girls. We're like, don't worry, we got you. So we let the moms sit on the couch, and we just take over.
That's really cool. That's a cool mentorship thing, too. Like, it's like you're raising this generation of fashionistas.
And it's so sad when they go off to college. But the good thing is they always come back in the summer and they want to work. It's rewarding.
What's the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur? What have you found?
I think the hardest thing is trying to be at two places at the same time. I feel like I miss out on a lot of events with my family. I don't get to go to, the college football games because I have a show coming up. I think that's the biggest challenge for me is trying to juggle and, keep my family life the way it needs to be and, also keep my business successful and growing.
Yeah, because the whole work-life balance for a working mom is non-existent.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's just non-existent.
We could have a whole show about that.
Absolutely.
Work-life balance.
I
What
mean,
is
what
it?
is
Yeah,
that?
no.
It's BS.
Well, one of the things when we think about success, if we're doing something we like, yes, it's not work, and that's enjoyable to do. I mean, I find myself doing stuff that's related to my profession at all hours, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, no, that's really true. It's that whole follow your passion thing and you'll be successful, right?
Absolutely.
As far as the end of the year, when we think of the end of the year in your business and then looking ahead, it's going to be a busy end of the year just because of holidays and all the momentum you have going. And then how do you look forward to 2023?
We love looking forward to January. It's our down month. So that's when we
Yeah,
actually
take a
can
break.
catch a break. We can reset, regroup, get ready for the new year. We are hoping to expand our store next month. However, it could get delayed until January, and secretly, I'm kind of hoping for that, to be honest with you.
It's not a secret
It's
anymore,
not
Jen.
a secret anymore. I'm going to let everybody know.
It's
if
just
it doesn't
between
happen,
us.
Yes,
Yeah,
if
don't
it doesn't
tell
happen
anybody.
until January, we'll be just fine.
We're talking with Jen Tucker. She's the owner of Milla and Ella. One of the things I think about, whatever the business is restaurants, but a business like yours, one of the fun things is, yes, when you're profitable, when things are exciting, that's great. But I think one of the things I would enjoy is, and tell me if you do, is when you bring in a new product. It's almost like a laboratory. You bring the product, maybe you're even buying heavy
Yeah.
or light or medium, but whatever it is, you bring in the product and then you present it. You do a great job of presentation. You put it out there, and then you watch. Hey, how many am I going to sell? Do people like it? Do they love it? Are they passionate about it? And does it take off? That's like a laboratory. Is it fun?
Oh, it's so much fun. I mean, we really do get excited when we get new things in just to see the feedback or the read on it. We love to do that. And sometimes you fail, but a lot of times we succeed. And that's what makes everything exciting at Milla and Ella.
How many times do you go to market?
This year alone, I've been to market 7 times.
Oh my gosh.
So we've started going to market in both Vegas and Atlanta. Dallas is always one of my favorites because I know it like the back of my hand. This year they had a quick market in Nashville, and sometimes we go to the LA market. We have not been this year. But I like going to the different markets because you get to see different vendors that you wouldn't normally see in Dallas.
I think that's so interesting because even when I travel, like if you're in LA or New York or London or wherever, you see different fashion, different styles. And I'm always like, okay, does it start in London, then
It
go to
does.
New York, then get to us? Or like, how does that, it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, Houston typically is about a year behind, say London, or maybe 6 months behind LA. Sometimes more behind. But it is kind of nice to be able to see it first, so you can go ahead and get in there and be the first one to have it. Sometimes it takes a little while to actually, get this product to take off. But if you just wait it out a little bit, it will.
That's so interesting how those trends work.
When you mention London and fashion, I'm going to reveal my age now because I remember back in the, Beatles days and things like that, fashion did seem like it came from London. I mean, where did the bell bottom come from back in those days? Probably London. Big scarves and some Twiggy and all these other. You don't even know those
Yes,
people.
I do,
But you do know
Bill.
the Beatles, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so
Well, the bell bottoms are still here.
They're back.
They came
Oh,
back.
they're
right?
back. And the wide leg, high waist, all of that.
It's like everything old is new again. Don't throw anything
No.
away.
80s and 90s are back. It's not going anywhere.
order heavy. That's
Order
all I
heavy.
know. We're talking with Jen Tucker, and oh yeah, Jenna Jackson. How about that? Jen Tucker, she's the owner of Milla and Ella. Before we close the segment, Jen, what else do you want people to know? Let's tell them the website again and the name of your other 2 satellite stores.
Okay, well, please come check us out at the Nutcracker Market. This year, I think it's going to be bigger and better than ever. That's Nutcracker Market by the Houston Ballet, and we're in booth 143. You can also find us at millandella.com. We're located at 9055 Gaylord in the Memorial area. or you can stop by if you're in Katy or Sugar Land at the Painted Tree.
MillaandElla.com. Well, thanks for being with us.
Thanks
so
for having
many
us.
opportunities to shop. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
We are now going to talk to Jess Roger. She's the founder and CEO of Tudorville. That means we're all going to get a little bit smarter. The tutor is with us right now, right, Jenna?
Right. Let's hope we can all get a little smarter, Bill. I
my
could
goal.
use it, especially after a holiday weekend. Jess, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we've known each other a very, very long time, but tell me a little bit about Tudorville and how it got started.
So I have wanted to be a teacher since I was 8 years old, and I went to Houston Baptist University. I have my degree from there. And then I went on to teach middle school math at St. Francis Episcopal Day School. And then as my side hustle, I was a math tutor and tutored for 7 years until my very good friend, you, encouraged me to start my own company. And so that's what I did. We started in 2009 and then slowly grew and then started some different programs. So we see kids pre-K to college. And then we have a one-on-one Tudorville prep program, which is like our homeschool program. It's a full service sort of non-traditional school that we can see kids for a long period of time, or sometimes it's just a soft place for kids to land if they need a transitionary spot. And then we help kids prepare for college, applications, private school entrance, anything really you need. We're sort of like a one-stop shop.
So talk to me a little bit about Tudorville. I have 15-year-old twin boys. They've been clients since before kindergarten, I think.
Right.
So your needs sort of evolve over the years as a kid and as parents. Talk to me about how Tudorville can meet those needs. Different tutors, your bench is really deep, right? So kind of talk me through that.
Right. So we call it our bench strength, and we have a great set of tutors that go through our training program, which is taught by me or someone on my staff. And so we sort of just evolve with the child, and we consider our tutors sort of like the bonus parent in your family. So that like allows you to be mom or dad. And then if for some reason the child needs a change in tutor or a new program or a different sort of avenue, then we can help assist with that.
And is it just about academics? I know that sounds silly to ask a tutoring company CEO, but you guys are about more than that.
Right. So I feel like Tudorville, one of the things that sets us apart from other sort of cookie cutter tutoring companies is that we really sort of try to focus on the holistic child. And really that comes from matching you with the perfect tutor based on the personality of your child and what their interests are, and so that they look forward to tutoring and they don't dread it. And so I feel like that is one of the things that sets us apart from other companies. And then that sort of helps us along the way if you're going to stick with us throughout your child's journey through high school or middle school or elementary school. It helps us sort of prepare your child for what they need or what's coming next.
Because you always kind of have to think about what's next, right?
Always. One of our mottos with our staff is that we always have to make sure we're looking forward. Yes, we're passing physics, but what's going to be the next thing for this child or this family?
How old are the children that are being taught, and what is the array of subjects that they can learn or be?
So we start with pre-K to college, but I would say our sweet spot is usually elementary to high school, and really sort of range from everything. Kids that come to us that need to learn how to read, they're struggling with math, they need help getting into college, they may need help transitioning from school to school, and especially with COVID, everything has sort of changed since then on what kids need. Maybe before COVID, it was more they needed tutoring to catch up and maybe take a more advanced class, and now it's a different, they have a different need.
And on that same note, is there one subject through the years that always seems, is it math? There's one thing that always seems to be where they need extra help in, just generally speaking?
I don't think so. I think it's sort of just a run-of-the-mill type subject usually, and I think it depends on, sometimes we have kids that come to us that need help periodically, or they come, every single day for tutoring, but I wouldn't say that there's one subject that kids struggle with. I would say it's probably usually all of them.
Well, as far as the CEO of the company, you must know a lot about a lot of things, Jess.
Well, I would say maybe. I taught math, so I know a lot about math.
Right there.
But I wouldn't say I know a lot about every single subject, that's for sure.
But you find the experts, right, who
Yeah,
do.
we do. We do. We have a great, I always say that without my tutoring staff, I wouldn't have a business. They're sort of the brand ambassadors for what we're doing, and they go out and represent Tudorville and me, and they do a wonderful job of that.
The area that you reach, is it Houston, Texas, or certain areas of Houston? How far does the company go?
So after the pandemic, or actually during the pandemic, and then shortly after that, I decided to turn the pandemic into something good for Tudorville. In fact, my business was not affected. I was so blessed that my business sort of didn't change. I did have to pivot and sort of recreate what we were doing overnight because we had to shift to online learning. But I decided to start franchising Tudorville. And so I hired a firm, and we created a franchising company, opened a franchising company in 2011 so that we could reach more students. And so that's what we're working on now. But as far as my corporate headquarters, we are just in Houston, and then we have franchises for sale throughout the U.S.
Interesting. Everybody we're talking to today, Jenna, is expanding.
Exactly.
Indeed, forward-thinking people looking ahead. That excitement is in the air in this room and in all the companies that we're talking to.
It is. I love it. These are the kind of people I love,
And
Bill.
even you.
I hunt them
what
down.
You're doing, you do hunt. Jess, she knows everybody. How long
She does.
How long have you guys been
We've
friends?
been friends almost 20 years.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, we met.
That's aging us a little.
We met. I
got y'all beat.
was an intern for Dan Rather at CBS News in New York City, right when I finished college. And that's where I met my Jenna Jackson.
Yep. I was an entry-level producer. You know my story, Bill, but
Let's remind people your affiliation with Dan Rather. So far, 2 people that have worked alongside with Dan Rather. So we're doing everything we can to get Dan to listen to the show at least once or twice.
I know. I'm gonna have to send him some
His
little
ears are ringing.
snippets.
Yeah,
exactly.
we hope they are.
He's definitely listening.
But there you were with Dan,
So
right?
I, at the time when Jess was an intern, I was an entry-level producer at CBS News in New York. I had just graduated college, and at Dan Rather's alma mater, I met him when I was going to college at Sam Houston. He, it turned out, I didn't know at the time, but he had played high school football with my grandpa here in Houston, the Heights area at Reagan High School. I wrote him a letter asking him to donate a book for us, our program there at Sam Houston. And he, I said, P.S., I think you once knew my grandpa. And he wrote me back. I just reread it a couple days ago. And it was like a 10-page handwritten letter on CBS News stationery. I still get a little high-V when I think about it because it was amazing. And just told me all about my grandfather growing up and took me under his wing and was really a mentor at that point. So I was at CBS for 15 years, but Jess and I met in passing when she was there, and then back in Houston re-met and became, such good friends. She's my boy's godmother. And anyway, so yes, I try to surround myself with entrepreneurs.
We're all one big happy family.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yes.
It's awesome. So what, you talked a little bit about, your franchising business started during COVID, but what else shifted as far as what parents need to know during COVID? I mean, college admission, testing, standardized testing, I feel like it changes every day. As a mom of 2 sophomores in high school, I'm like, okay, what is going on?
Right. And that's why you need Tudorville.
Well, good thing I have you guys.
Yes. Well, it does change every day, and it changes state by state and university by university, and the testing requirements. And so that's hard to keep up with, and can be a lot. And so that's why it's important to hire someone to help you, and also sort of stay maybe a little bit more involved in your child's education if you weren't maybe as interested before.
Yeah, it's a lot changing. So one other thing that we have in common with the rest of the guests here, I know that you are very big on giving back. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing on that front right now.
Right. So in 2012, we had a little girl that came to us who had been diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and didn't have a school to go to. And so we took her under our wing, and she came to Tudorville, our homeschool, and it got me thinking that how many other kids are out there that have been diagnosed with cancer and their education has been impacted. And so I just received a few weeks ago that we are official 501c3 charity, the Tudorville Foundation. So we're going to raise money for scholarships for kids that have been affected and impacted by a cancer diagnosis, and give that money back to them for anything that they need for education, whether that's college tuition or books or tutoring, whether that's through Tudorville or somewhere else, or just anything that they may need educational support with throughout that cancer journey. And we're really, really excited about that.
That is amazing. So it's really just getting kicked off.
It is. We're having a party in April.
And if someone is listening right now and they have a child, whatever, at the age that's in your realm, and they're saying, well, my son needs help in reading or whatever, I looked on your website, and I think there's a consultation phase when you first meet a child and their parents or family. Tell us about that, how you assess or how that begins, and what people, if they want to reach out to you, what they should do if they need help. But give us a little as far as the beginning process.
Sure. So we call that our client journey. And you would just call our office or submit the form on the website, and then someone from my office will call you, and we'll set up like a little interview to learn more about your needs and your goals, strengths and weaknesses of your child, the personality of your child, so that we can best, I call it matchmaking, right? Match the best tutor to your child. And then that's really it. It's a very simple process. And then, you can use us as long as you need us, for 1 hour, 1,000 hours, whatever you need. We do in-home private tutoring. We can do tutoring through Zoom or Google Meet, FaceTime. And then also we have a headquarters office here in Memorial as well.
As far as reading goes, that's one of the subjects you're helping. And then there's reading, and then there's the comprehension element. Well, how can we improve our comprehension? And I'm asking for myself.
Asking for a friend.
Just because one of the things I have trouble with, and I know I did as a child, I didn't have a tutor, but staying focused.
Right.
And I would think there's still children today that focus. I'm thinking of one of my grandkids right now. Focus is something, I don't know if it's learned, it's taught, but focus comes into play in learning math, but certainly reading and having that comprehension. Give us a tip.
Sort of like when you read the line over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you skim it. I can read a page, and then I'm like, I
Right.
have no idea what I just read.
I think really the only way to address reading, or a reading issue, I guess if you say, is having professional help, right? Learning how to speed read or take out parts of the section to learn how to diagnose really what you are reading. And then just constantly keeping up with reading every single night or reading every single morning. And then also trying to get away from just reading on your gadget, your iPad or your phone. It's great to read the actual newspaper or hold a book, and also reading out loud, especially for younger children. And young children during COVID have had a really hard time sort of bridging this new gap, that we're back into school and sort of trying to play catch up. And so those would be my starting suggestions for fixing maybe a reading difference.
And I think there's more challenge these last few decades because there's so many distractions, electronic distractions versus, as you're saying, going back to an analog style where, hey, read a book. And one thing I will say, too, is those that have read their whole lives, I can think of a few friends, it's something that when you grasp reading and comprehension, it stays with you.
Right.
I mean, I can think of people right now that are like, they're just always reading books and comprehending and these sorts of things.
Right. And we want to encourage that now, and that we do that at Tudorville reading camps, or, if you finish tutoring early, make sure you read a book. And so just constantly trying to have our staff encourage that reading. And it's very important to be a great reader for math as well, because of the word problems and, test prep and SAT and ACT. Those problems are word problems. So
we are talking with Jess Roger. She is the CEO of Tudorville. Jess, let's tell people the website and how they can reach out, the phone number and things.
Sure. It's TudorvilleTutors.com, and then you can call our office at 713-857-0367, and any of us would be happy to talk to you. 713-857-0367.
And before we close this segment, what else should we cover, Jenna?
I mean, I think, just the important thing as a mom and somebody who's known Tudorville for a while is like you said, Bill, that foundation. Make sure your child is getting that foundation of learning when they're young, because it just gets harder. My kids are in high school. It's hard now.
So I can imagine the tests and things like that, what they have to know. But your children go to Tudorville.
They've had various tutors over the years with Tudorville, because your needs change. I have twin boys. They're very different. So they always have separate tutors because they always end up connecting with someone different. and one's better at reading and one's better at math, and kids are different. So I think that's the beauty of what I've seen with Tudorville over the years is they can match you with the right tutor no matter what your need is for your child.
So you've seen a difference.
I definitely have. Yeah. I mean, high school transition was tough for us. It was, much harder, much faster. And
Jess Rogers, CEO of Tudorville. Again, the website, Jess, is
TudorvilleTutors.com.
Thanks for being with us. Thanks for bringing her on, Jenna.
of course.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you.
Well, as we continue, here she is, Jenna Jackson. Jenna, what a fantastic, the thinking, the forward thinking, the success, the entrepreneurship that's displayed right here on this show and past ones that you brought forth. And oh yeah, your company, P&R Creative, you're marching forward every day with how you're helping people.
Well, I love it. I mean, I love being surrounded by people like the ones who are on the show today because they are thinking forward and they've got such vision and they're so creative. And I learn something from them every single day, whether they're friends, clients usually become friends, so it's really fun. But yes, at P&R Creative, we can handle all of your communications needs, whatever your story is, we can tell it and connect you to your target audience, whether you're a corporation and its employees or the public, whether you're a restaurant and it's, future customers, current guests, whether you're expanding, we can help you go into different markets. We're doing that with Federal Grill right now, which is really fun. So social media, marketing, PR, media relations, branding, just we're all of the above.
Covering a lot of bases and helping a lot of people. And for future segments, we even may have certain segments, shows, who knows, what's your story, and these sorts of things, because the storytelling aspect of life, it's there upon us sometimes, and we're into it, and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It is so important. I think your story, defines your personal brand. We've talked about that a lot. I talk to my teenagers about that and their friends a lot. It's who you are, is the stories that you've lived through and that you're living and how you connect with people. And so you said it earlier in the show, Bill, but you follow your passion and what you love to do, and then hopefully the success follows. But I think it's not work if you love doing it, right?
And when we're providing a service or a product to someone or food in a restaurant environment, and that's not just food, it's a restaurant experience. It's an experience you're providing. The storytelling aspect comes into play. And as Eric, I have to tell you this, as Eric talked about his stellar, interesting resume of the restaurants that we've all eaten at, the hotels we've been to, when he mentioned Mark's, I to this day remember I ordered something from Mark's. Now check this out. I'll be quick. The waiter was so interesting. And I'm a guy, when I go into the restaurant, I'm with my girlfriend at the time, and I'm asking about well, what about this? What's your favorite? What do people order? I want to know. I want the best. So people get tired of that sometimes. But anyway, this particular waiter, he was talking about the salmon that was on the menu. I remember this is 10, 15 years. He's talking about the salmon. And I'm saying, oh, really? So it's pretty good. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. These salmon were raised off the coast of so now we're going to Nova Scotia. He's telling me about the heritage of this fish. And I'm like, well, yeah, I want that fish.
But it's all story, right?
But
that's why you connected to that
I
dish.
Connected. It was fantastic. And I said,
that's so cool.
Then I said, well, what about the salad? He said, oh, well, our owner has a garden. Now now you're picturing a picket fence with a garden. This owner of the restaurant picking you know what I'm saying?
It's very cool. I mean,
it's awesome.
And, you said the experience is the thing, right? For if you're an entrepreneur, it really is. Whether you're walking into Milla and Ella, Tudorville, Federal Grill, it's all about how people connect with you, how they treat you, and what you're getting from that experience. I mean, that's why people want to go there.
When we're thinking about Tudorville, I'm thinking about the parent and or the child that goes in, and especially if I'm the child or the child goes in, and when the connection is made to the tutor, when there's because children are still learning, they're absorbing all the time, but they're also very tuned in and sensitive, maybe more so than we are because we have all these things we're thinking about.
Right.
But when they make that connection to the right tutor and feel comfort, encouragement, and some of these elements that take place,
Yep.
that connection is made, and I guess that prepares them to be able to successfully learn where they need a little extra help.
I think it does, and I think it gives them confidence. There's a mentorship there that's invaluable. It's like, Tudorville says it's a bonus parent, but I always thought of it as like a big brother, a big sister. I mean, as your kids become teens, especially, they don't always talk to you about whether it's academics or whatever else they're going through, and it's nice to have that mentorship relationship, so it's definitely an added bonus.
It really is a bonus. And at P&R Creative right now, there's people out there that you may be able to help, where they're thinking, hey, I'm going to enhance my business. It's the end of the year. Let's finish strong and let's prepare for 2023. And who knows what that's going to be like. Can you imagine?
We don't know. We'll have some
but
stories.
You can help them there at P&R Creative. Let's tell them the website.
Yes,
Jenna.
I can. The website is prcreativegroup.com.
And in fact, your website tells your story.
It does. prcreativegroup.com.
Jen Tucker is back.
Yay,
Milla
hello.
and Ella. I'm thinking about that Milla and Ella experience. I've never been, but it is an experience as soon as you walk in the door, right?
Oh, absolutely. We do have dads that actually bring their daughters to shop.
I'll bring
and
my granddaughter.
Bring her anytime. We put you on the pink couch
She'd
and
go
put some
crazy, yeah.
ESPN on for you.
I want a photo of Bill on the pink couch, or just call me. I'll come over.
Don't worry, I will. Well, I forgot to mention earlier that we also do provide birthday parties for 12 and 13-year-olds. We have a bonus party room 3 doors down. It's been really fun. We've started that about a month ago. We can seat about 18 girls. We do a DJ outside, have a shopping experience. That's been a really fun new thing that we've started doing.
Fun. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
awesome.
new.
Let's tell people again the website and remind them of the things coming up. You have the Nutcracker Market,
Yes.
your satellite stores before we close.
Yes, it's millaandella.com. Come see us at the Nutcracker Market. I believe that starts on November 14th for the week. We're in booth 143. Or you can come see our space at the Painted Tree in both Sugar Land and Katy.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for having
And
me.
she's back. Before we close the show, Jess Rogers, helping people all day long at Tudorville. Jess.
We talked a lot today about tutoring, and so we are here to help your family with anything that you need as far as education is concerned. And then if you're interested in being part of our bigger Tudorville family, as far as franchising is concerned, we'd love to hear from you too. And that website is tutorvillefranchise.com.
So tutorvilletutors.com if you need tutoring. And then if you want to open a Tudorville office organization throughout the country, what's that website?
It's tutorvillefranchise.com.
So even if they're in another state,
Right.
that's
And
unbelievable.
spread the Tudorville love.
And
right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is not just let's say a child is falling behind in math, but it's enhancing if you just want to really be strong in
Get
math
ahead.
or another
Right.
subject, right?
Absolutely. tutorvilletutors.com or tutorvillefranchise.com.
Jenna Jackson.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks,
this
Bill.
is always
Let's-
fun.
Let's tell them the website again.
prcreativegroup.com.
And thank you all for listening to Successful Living with Bill Napick. And today, Successful Living with Jenna Jackson, Jess Rogers, Jen Tucker, Eric Aldous. That's right, a cast of tremendous people. Thank you for listening. If you want to know more or see and hear the show, we're on YouTube. Go to radiobill.net. That's real simple. You could be driving and don't have to write it down because it's simple. radiobill.net. radiobill.net. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.